Paradox Pokemon are some of the coolest new Pokemon introduced in Scarlet and Violet. I mean, just look at Roaring Moon, an ancient salamence that has mysterious connections to its mega counterpart. Or look at Iron Valiant, a future mechanical fusion between Gardevoir and Gallade. There are some misses in my opinion, like Iron Treads and Fluttermane, but ultimately, the majority of these time-bending Pokemon are crazy cool. Paradox Pokemon are no doubt the coolest idea for new Pokemon since original variants back in Sun and Moon, but that doesn't mean don't have my nitpicks. First off, the names. I understand the reasoning for Game Freak to give these Pokemon names that are more mysterious than traditional Pokemon names. Some of these are mesmerizing, like Roaring Moon, again, a roaring beast who fits the name perfectly for having wings in the shape of a crescent moon. But then there's Iron Hands, because how else would I know it has iron hands? Speaking of, Iron Hands isn't even a steel type. Heck, out of the 7 Paradox Pokemon that have iron as their prefix, only one, Iron Treads, is actually a steel type. The least they could have done is varied the names just a little bit. Maybe instead of Iron Bundle, it could be Metallic Bundle or Mechanical Bundle, just to vary the names a little bit, just like they are for the Scarlet Paradox forms. Perhaps if Game Freak really wanted to, they could vary the names and make them just like regular Pokemon. So instead of Iron Moth, you got Moth Saucer. Or instead of Brute Bonnet, you got Sporasic. Just cool names that sound like actual Pokemon. Another thing that really doesn't make sense for me is the fact that these Paradox forms aren't lumped together in the National Pokedex with the Pokemon that they look most similar to. It's really strange how these ancient and future forms, which are clearly based on other Pokemon, are deemed different enough to lose all relation to that Pokemon and take up a brand new slot in the Pokedex. The only one I understand a little bit is Iron Valiant, because as I've said before, Iron Valiant is said to be a cross between Gardevoir and Gallade, so it'd be hard lumping it in with one of the two. But for everyone else like Screamtail, it's stated, it resembles a mysterious Pokemon described in a paranormal magazine as a Jigglypuff from 1 billion years ago. Well, if it looks like a Jigglypuff, and it acts like a Jigglypuff, I'm pretty sure it's a Jigglypuff. I know there's the idea that if their base stats are so different that it warrants them being different enough to be considered different Pokemon, but when did base stats determine different Pokemon? There is one thing that is quite silly with their base stats. Since Koraidon and Miraidon are technically Paradox Pokemon, it's super strong in the past, mediocre in the present, and super strong again in the future. Oh my gosh, poor Cyclizar. I don't know. Paradox Pokemon are super, super cool. And I know there's also the really intriguing theory that Paradox Pokemon are actually Pokemon that never existed and were created by a time machine, which is actually a dream machine. But I'm pretty sure not a single person would ever dream of Iron Treads existing. But I mean, at least they can be shiny.